All right, YouTube, what's good? This is episode number 2 of my 2026, possibly 2027, we'll see how long this goes for, contest prep season. In today's video, you're gonna watch a quad-focused leg day after a 700-gram carbohydrate refeed day that I had yesterday. I had a lot of water, I had a lot of sodium, and obviously a lot of carbohydrates. So today, the look should be probably the best look I've seen, hopefully in a while, maybe all time. It's because, as you'll see in this video, and or if you watched my last upper body session, body composition-wise, I'm about there. Body fat levels, I might be, we'll see how the season goes, what the stage look is like, what we get for feedback from judges, if I need to get a little bit tighter. But conditioning-wise, I'm relatively close. So you'll see that. We're gonna do some posing or as I just go on throughout this session. Let's see. Also, I did a Q&A on my Instagram. So there's for sure one question I know that was on there that was good. That's gonna be more about training the outer sweep of your quads. So we'll get to a movement that I think is exactly how you can do that, but I'll save that for later on in this video. So I'm gonna do a quick warm up, do some leg extensions, leg curls, and we'll get into movement number 1. All right, movement number 1. Ain't nothing fancy with this one. Just good old fashioned Smith machine squats. To keep this a little bit more quad biased, the execution cues that I'm aiming for, foot positioning, I'm gonna keep my stance relatively narrow-ish, not too narrow. I'll be going more narrow in a movement later on. Foot positioning wise, I'm gonna rotate my feet out slightly. You're gonna be a little bit more in front of me. And the biggest execution cue when you're gonna do Smith machine squats for your quads is you want to keep that chest up, and then I wanna initiate the eccentric with my knees coming forward first and then coming down. So I break the knees first, and then keep that chest up and come down. So far, my knees in today's warm-up have actually been feeling okay. I've had a case of the Derrick Rose knees for the last, I suppose it finally went away a couple weeks ago, but I contribute my horrible knee pain to goddamn Arsenal pendulum squat. I hate that machine. He took 2 months of good quad training away from me. But actually, I've been feeling a lot better recently. I actually started doing some pre-workout hip mobility drills, and that actually helped a shit ton. So I've actually been able to train my quads pretty hard. Working set-wise on this thing, I'm gonna do 2 working sets, depending on how weight's feeling as you get up there. It'll range anywhere from like 6 at the lowest to 12, probably at the highest end. Last week, I was actually feeling pretty good. I touched a weight I hadn't touched in a while. So we're just gonna keep throwing some weight on and see where we end up. The knees might be actually feeling pretty good today. Also, shout out to Johnny, brother-in-law, brother from another mother, with the clutch thrift store find of an old gold gym shirt. I don't think you're gonna find a shirt that has this cut anywhere anymore. Where it's like cropped in the front and then down in the back. The sleeves are oversized. It's overall just a sweet shirt. Shout out to Johnny. All right, so last week I did 1 working set with this weight, 2 plates and a 25, and then it actually felt pretty good. And then I went a little bit heavier. What I like to do on working sets, especially when it's like my very first movement of the day, haven't really done much under relatively heavy loads. When I get to what I think is gonna be a working weight, I will do just like 1 to 2 feeler reps, gauge how those 2 reps feel, and use that to determine what my first working set is gonna be. If I think this is gonna be a good weight, then I'll just stay with it. If it moves pretty good, then maybe I'll go a little bit heavier. All right, that felt decent. I'm gonna go a little bit heavier, use the weight I used last week, make that my first set, get the heaviest set out of the way. I guess we'll see. If it goes well, maybe I'll go up more, but like I was saying in the last video, at this point in contest prep, where I'm only like 3 weeks out now, I'm not really trying to like crush PRs, but if I have room for it, or if it's just there for me to take, I might as well go for it. All right, according to my logbook, last time I hit this, last week, let me get there, I got this weight for 6. So we'll see if I can match it or beat it. Oh. 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 I'll take it. So while that shirt is cool, it is 88 degrees, probably maybe even like 90 degrees outside at this point. So that shit is too damn hot. So she's coming off. Weight-wise, I went down a little bit. That last set moved pretty good relative to last week. Got more reps, probably even a little bit better control. Still, it's like pushing heavier weights that I haven't used in a while gives me not aches, but just when you're as lean as I am, you can kind of feel when you make jumps and load. So joint-wise, not that it was like painful, just uncomfortable. So I'm gonna drop back down to a weight I know I can control. Last week I got 11, so this week I'm gonna try and do 12. I have no idea how many that was. That was close, maybe. All right, moving on. Next exercise, we're gonna use this leg press, and I'm gonna set this up where this is gonna be the exercise for the Q&A, where I received the question of how to train the outer quad muscle. This is exactly how I would do it. So anatomically, when you're looking at somebody's side leg, so whether that's in like a side relax pose, or possibly like a side chest pose, this outer sweep takes up a huge portion of that pose, along with the hamstrings that are coming down, but also your glutes. So when you're looking at this, the glutes and this outer sweep, they come together out here. So anything that's gonna be glutes, you're gonna get some of this outer sweep, and anything that's this outer sweep, you're going to get some glutes. All right, so what this is gonna look like in practice in this leg press, it's gonna be really close to what a glute focused leg press would look like. So a glute focused leg press would be where I'm gonna put my feet up higher on this platform, because for glutes it's hip flexion, where your thighs are gonna run into your torso. So this is gonna be a lot of glutes. How I'm gonna shift it to more of that outer sweep, I'm gonna move my feet lower on this platform so I can get more knee flexion. It's not gonna be as deep of knee flexion as maybe other squatting motions like I just did. But for trying to get this outer sweep, you're gonna see as I'm coming down, it's gonna be more knee flexion than prior, and then I can press a little bit more through my quads. Other execution cues when you're gonna do this to try and get maybe a little bit more out of that outer sweep is foot pressure as you're pushing through. Maybe try pushing a little bit more through the outer half of your feet, and you might get a little bit more activation out of your outer sweeps as well. All right, weight for set one, and this is what I used for one of my sets last week. I know that I can control this weight, so I'm just gonna give this set a go, see how she feels, and I will determine my weight for the next set based on how this goes. Ooh, weight today is not feeling good on this one. Still moved okay. All right, set number 2. I didn't make as big of a jump in weight as I did last week because execution on that first set, I don't know, I didn't feel 100%, so I'm not gonna make as big of a jump as I did last week because last week these were feeling fucking great. Not that they feel terrible today, but they're just not feeling 100%, so I'm still gonna make a small jump, but just not as big as last week. Oh, I have one more cue that I think would be good for trying to press with your quads in a leg press with whatever setup you have. Cue that you can use that I really like is instead of just thinking 100% pushing your feet into this platform, what you can try is put 90% of your effort into pushing into the pad, 10% of your effort trying to move your foot upwards, but obviously friction is gonna stop your foot from moving up. And you can even see when I'm just trying to move my feet against friction, you can see my quads turning on. You don't want to overdo it to where if I overcued that, I could put on one plate and fail at 12 reps. You want to just be a slight, like 10% of your intent is trying to push your feet upwards, fighting that friction, and the other 90% is hard into that platform. So that's another cue you can try to get quads out of a leg press. God, I'm just feeling heavy as shit today. Oh, god damn. I would have blew my load on the Smith squats today. God, I'm getting folded by these. All right, we are moving on. Final quad exercise of the day. Leg extensions on this sexy blue, old school, chain-driven Nautilus leg extension. Oh, this actually reminds me, I need to update my exercise library and put this machine in and how to use it. For any of my clients, I use an app to manage all of them. And within that, in their workouts, each exercise they do, or not every single one, but most of them, have some sort of video tutorial of the exercise that I want them to do, how to set it up, how to execute it. And this is one that I'm gonna have to put in there. Okay, working weight here, I'm trying about, I got 170 on here? I got 12, 11, and 10 last week, so see if we can match that or maybe try and beat it. Oh, how could I forget? What am I doing? This machine has a goddamn seatbelt. I'm gonna lock myself in here. If you're gonna use a seatbelt on a leg extension, there's a right way to use it and there's a wrong way to use it. The wrong way to use it is to pull it super tight and then do a hip thrust into it and then do your leg extensions. This should be in place for you to brace your core into and keep yourself in this position, but not trying to do a hip thrust to get the weight up. It will make a huge difference in how much activation you're getting in your quads. The weight won't be as heavy, but you're gonna be getting so much more out of a lighter weight and getting more stimulus into your quads. quad work of this leg day is over. Now we're gonna get into kind of what I call the gritty exercises on a leg day. These are the ones where, even though I came in here knowing I was training quads, these exercises are not quad exercises, so it's gonna be easy, or for me at least, it's gonna be easy to just like dog them a little bit. So I'm gonna try and not do that. Camera on me will help a little bit. We're gonna do some hinges on a 45-degree hip hinge machine. I feel like in my training career, these are ones that I've slept on for far too long, so I've been incorporating these. This is gonna be hamstrings, glutes, and some adductors. Some execution cues of how this hip hinge fares versus maybe just like a standard RDL is when I'm having someone do an RDL, more often than not, I'm having them cue driving their butt backwards. So say like there's a wall behind you, you're trying to touch that wall with your butt. For this exercise, a cue I give people, instead of trying to push your butt back, because your butt can't go back on this exercise, instead I want you just to collapse forward on top of where your hips bend. So what that looks like here, right at my hip crease, right where that moves, I'm trying to fold over this pad coming down versus kind of just like falling forward. I'm trying to break at the hips and then come around this pad. Another cue is a little bit of internal and external rotation. So when I'm coming down, I'm trying to think of slightly internally rotating my legs, and then as I'm pulling through, slight external rotation, bringing the weight up. Also, I'll have to try and find some other angles here from behind that are family friendly, or maybe not. We'll see. YouTube might take this video down if I get the wrong angle. All right, so I got my position here. Okay, so I'm falling forward over this pad, slight internal rotation, and then pulling through. All right, we're getting to the end of this leg day here. For wardrobe related purposes, the camera's gonna have to stay at that angle. These shorts are too short to have anything looking at me from the front. This pre-core adductor machine that's at this gym is actually pretty freaking nice. Range of motion on this thing is absurd. I actually can't fathom being able to go the full way, because this is about where my range of motion is gonna be. But look how much further this damn thing goes. This is set at 3, it goes to 5. I literally can't fathom. It goes another one. I don't know who in their right mind would be able to do this, but I am not that guy. All right, I'm kind of working my way up here and warming up still. But end off this leg day, I'm flipping back and forth between this adductor machine and this calf press machine. Dylan and Alec are quote unquote ball knowers when it comes to designing gyms, because usually people are going to do these two muscle groups to superset them just because there's not really much for systemic fatigue and you're not going to have much carryover between these two muscle groups. So to save some time, you can superset these two and just go back and forth. So having these two machines right next to each other is quite nice. Oh, man. I'm stuck in this thing. This calf press machine is renowned as one of the better calf machines that's ever been made. The stretch on this thing is freaking nuts. The angle is also like perfect that you're gonna push through with your calves. When I'm training calves, it's a lot of like spending time down in the bottom, holding the stretch, and then pushing through. I'm not really spending much time squeezing with calves. Granted, my calves aren't huge. Also granted, I don't train them as often as I should, but when I do train them, this is what I do. quad day complete. We're gonna go up into the posing room, the best posing room in town, in my opinion. So we're gonna go see what that post 700 gram carbohydrate refeed has done to my legs. Training performance was, I would say, slightly above average today, so that's nice. So let's go see what we're working with.